Hello everybody, and thank you for coming back to the channel. So I'm going to follow on where I left it last time, which was I'd painted it all with glue and water, and I've started already to paint some of the pieces with black, the underside. I still have to do it with the main piece of the model, of course, and then the next steps will be to put the tissue and then gradually to basically progress. This again is going to be another long process, but it's good. But first of all, I'm going to focus on doing the sanding down again, like another sanding. I think I sanded it down like 3 or 4 times, and then start to paint all the underside so that the white balsa doesn't actually shine through or is not visible through the tissue. It's also a phase where I feel at the moment it's still nice and pale, like it's a nice color, it's visible, and now it's going to start to turn very, very dark being the color of safety, right? That's why they were so dark during the operations over Europe. So follow me along on this one, and I'll keep you posted. Let me show you what the plan is now. I've already painted the underside of the Wellington with black. I've done it also with the ailerons, and I've already started to cover the ailerons. One of the key problems that I run into is that when I get out onto the field there's a lot of humidity, so I need to somehow isolate the tissue from the humidity. In the past, what I was doing, I was sticking the tissue on with a glue stick, with a normal paper glue stick, and it worked well. But then with the humidity it got soft and often got unstuck. That's one thing that I'm fixing maybe on some of the other models. So what I did next, I tried to put a clear coat of lacquer, and then this is what happened. That's a mosquito, and it's already completely dry, but in some areas, as you can see, the lacquer has glued on better than others. So that's another issue that is coming up. I have not painted the mosquito, it has no paint at all, it's just with different color tissue paper. So what I'm going to try with the Wellington is I'm going to first of all glue on the tissue with glue and water mix. That's what I've done here. And then for the black tissue, I'm going to try to paint it over with that glue mix itself. That's what I've done with the fin. And then on the upper side, on the camouflage side, I'm going to try to paint it over with acrylic paint. And let's see if like that, and then I might do also like a clear coat of lacquer. Let's see if like that I manage somehow to waterproof it in the way that it won't wrinkle up and actually lose the tissue and become very, very fragile with the humidity that's in the air. So that's going to be the challenge. So now I get to it. It's going to be a long process, so I'll just update you as I go along, and when I'm close to finishing with the tissue covering in black on the underside, and then some markings, some camouflage on top. So here's another update of the tissue covering of the Wellington. As you can see, I'm starting with the fuselage, with the upper part, which is going in green. As you can see, this is a bit darker than this over here, and that's because on this one I've already put the water and glue mix. On this, I hope it gives it some kind of water resistance against humidity, especially not water. Of course, if I pour water on it, it'll get wet, but against humidity when I go flying in the mornings. And on this one, it still doesn't have it, so it hasn't been stretched, but it's also a little bit paler. I'm doing this also then with the black one. I've already put in the fin. As you can see, the fin itself is already dark. The rudder, I have not yet done that treatment, so it's a bit paler. Now on the black one it actually looks quite good just with the glue, so I'm thinking not actually to paint it even on the underside. It will be all black instead of this greyish color. And then for the top, because of the camouflage markings and things like that, like on the elevator and the stabilizer, then I will be doing the painting. So just that you see what is the difference and how I'm doing it. So I'll continue now with the green covering on the fuselage, which is going to be challenging itself, especially around this area, and then the wing, and then it will go upside down and do the underside. So still a lot of tissue covering, but fun, bit by bit. So a brief update on the tissue covering of the Wellington. As you can see, I've progressed quite a lot. I'm not showing you the step by step because it's probably quite boring, like it's tedious, it's taking me some time. But before I put on more tissue, I wanted to show you this piece that I've put in here. I've put one also on the other side. Let's see if you can see this one, yes. And that is to make sure that I can put the tissue and that there's somehow some closure around the elevator. So I've just put it in, so I'm not going to touch it too much. The glue is still setting, and then around that I have something to stick on the tissue. It's a bit of a retrofit, of course, as everything in this aeroplane, but let's see how that goes. So I wanted to show you that, and then maybe just that you take a look at the wings and things. I'm leaving these gaps in here, which is between the engines and the fuselage, so that I can grab it, so that I can pick it up easier and I don't break it or anything. So I still have to do this both top and bottom. The underside is already covered, and maybe the other great thing is that I built myself a jig with a cardboard box and 2 cuts. I'll show you. And there's a jig that then I can work with it, especially when it's upside down, because when it's like this I can set it down on the wheels, but when it's upside down it was much more difficult and I didn't want to damage the rudder. So that's the status so far. I'll come back when it's pretty much covered, that you can see then the final result before I go on with the markings and the painting. And here it is. So basically all the tissue covering has been done. I still have to do the engine cowlings and some patches that I need to do because it broke while I was covering it. But that's it. What I've done, just to recap, I've put on the tissue, not with a stick of glue, but with watered down plastic glue, normal glue, and I've also painted over the tissue to make it watertight. I see some small patches coming up here and there, so I'm thinking of maybe doing like a second round of it to see how it goes. But basically it's done, and then the next big step will be the designing of the camouflage, painting, and then also the marking. So that's going to be one of the next chapters. But for the moment I'm happy about it. My big worry now is also weight. It seems to be heavy on the tail as usual, and also the control surfaces are not moving as much as I would like, but that's a typical problem of mine. But that's it for the moment. And before I leave, here there's a canopy. I don't know if you can see it very well, but anyhow, I leave it there. That's my proudest piece so far. Well, I don't know what to say that, but maybe very, very proud piece. I'm very proud of this piece, and I'll show you on the next chapter how I made that one. But anyhow, for the moment, thank you everybody for watching. Stay along, and I'll see you later.